Hello, City Skylines fans. I'm Sockswayup, and welcome back to another episode of Newman Shore. Last episode, we expanded this area out to get to 18,000 citizens so that we could unlock the tile that we needed to finish the airport. So today, we're going to go ahead and move on to finishing the airport finally as we take a peek at what our airport looks like right now. Let's jump right into it. There's some expanding we're going to have to do before we get into that. So let's first buy that tile. Let's get that going. The next thing we're going to do is, since we finally got this tile unlocked, we're going to finish this loop of the highway that we created. So we're going to go ahead and start building that out and figure out exactly how we want it to connect to the other main highway that came with the map. Some of the things we've been talking about a lot in these episodes, and we're finally getting to them. So I'm super excited about that. It's definitely one of my favorite parts about playing this game is thinking about something that you want to do long term, and then finally getting to it and finally getting to be able to expand it and finish the highway and get it all connected, seeing if the traffic actually flows as well as we're expecting it to. I think it will. We'll see how it turns out. But here what we did is we went up 6 units or 6 squares, whatever the line you want to call that, and then we went to the left the same distance. And then we tried to mimic that with the other side of the highway. It didn't work out completely, so we decided to then, after we figured out that it wasn't really working out the way we intended it, we decided to pull it from the other direction and go and mimic it on the other side. Long term, we actually end up redoing the whole thing afterwards, but next what we're going to do is we're going to extend it closer to this existing highway, and then we're going to delete some of those existing roads so that we can fit in our interchange. We're going to still use the vanilla interchange. We're not going to make our own on this episode. And there we go, deleting all of those existing. Pause the game. Always pause the game when you do something like this. One of the things I was thinking about as I was laying down this interchange was those roads to the right of us. Once we unlock that tile, we're going to redesign the way that loops into this. So I wasn't too concerned how that lines up. We do have a little bit of a struggles here trying to get this to be a clean transition. There's some redesign, rebuilding, we tear apart the roads, we redo it, finally get it to where we want it. A lot of trial and error. And that's the things that I try to show in these videos is trial and error. You don't have to get it right the first time. You can always adjust, always come back. And you can see here, we're trying to use the tool to kind of just make a curved road and make it look natural. It doesn't work out, so we back it up a little bit. Definitely wish that other tile was unlocked at this point. Every time I play Vanilla City Skylines, I really feel for the console players because there's some things that when we play detailed 81 tile, we unlock everything. We don't have to worry about these things. This process here would have been a lot easier if I just had that other tile unlocked. I would have backed up the highway a good amount of distance and then made the curve perfectly square or perfectly round right into the new interchange that we created. I probably would use something like the network multi-tool mod that's out there, but since it's vanilla, we're going to be patient. We're going to just kind of make it as the best that we can prior to, later on in this series, as we've talked about, unlocking all the tiles and then adding a bunch more mods once we run out of room and really break away from the vanilla build. At that point, we'll redo a lot of these and I'll kind of walk through the benefits of the mods. But for now, we're kind of just making do with what we can. And again, I feel for the console players. I feel for people that don't have PCs that aren't powerful enough to download a ton of mods. You really have to be way better at the game when you don't have those mods. Real creative, really patient. That is a virtue that I don't have. I am not a patient person. Yeah, I really need to work on that. That looks hideous. So we undo this whole thing, and that's what I was saying. We redid that whole section. You can see here we deleted it all up. I kind of cut some of the video out there, and then we line it up and we make a nice curve here, and it actually turns out way better than it would have if we were trying to piecemeal it like we did from the very beginning of the clip. I like it. I think that's okay. I think it would have turned out a little bit better with mods, but for Vanilla City Skylines, you definitely can do it. Again, it's all about patience and a virtue I don't have. Now that we got the highway out of the way, let's go ahead and look at what we need to use to expand for this third part. We have the cargo airport terminal. We have the cargo aircraft stand. We have a medium cargo road. We also have a large cargo road and a train station. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna lay all of those parts down and kind of see how they look, the size, get an idea of the feel of those pieces. Again, I haven't watched any videos. I haven't prepared myself for this. We're learning as we go. So I'm gonna just kind of get a feel for it, just lay it down, see the size of it, try to figure out maybe what the game or what Colossal Order was kind of thinking when they built this, of what should we do with this? What's the intent? Which side of this cargo terminal do these airplanes spawn from? I think it's supposed to be on this side here where we have the larger roads, but you can do whatever you want. It looks like you just have to attach them to a road, which I'm finding out here is kind of just playing around, moving it around, seeing where the game gets happy with it, and just lay a couple down to just kind of, again, kind of see the size and feel before I go into a full design and final product of what I want to build in this first city with the airports DLC. So I'm just kind of thinking about it here and just seeing how they blend together, throwing it on the other side. I think it would be strange. I think those larger roads are intended to have the aircrafts next to them and have the cargo trucks drive through that area. They have some decals around there that kind of show that that's what it's for, because they have some cargo just hanging around like it's preparing to be loaded onto a plane. And at this point, I'm kind of reading the tooltips, just trying to get an idea of what these features are. And then the last thing we haven't laid down yet is the train track. I wanted to get a size of that, figure out exactly where we want to lay that down. Like I mentioned last episode, we changed it up a ton. I pre-recorded this before the other one, so I kind of knew what happened. Spoilers. Yeah, I do that from time to time. But then the main thing that I think is going to be an issue that you're really going to need a mod Cities Skylines for is that the roads have to be completely flat in the airports, and so far that drives me nuts. So here I'm starting to kind of play around with the final design, trying to see what we want to do. I definitely want the two runways to be parallel. After that, we'll kind of work on the taxi roads, getting the planes to the stations and the terminals, and figure out what we want long term. So I think I have it all fully functional before I get to a full design, and that looks horrible. But before we get to a full design, we decided to make sure it is functioning, make sure we attached everything correctly. It says it's operating normal. There's no planes coming in yet. Hopefully one comes in soon, but before I moved on to a final design, I wanted to see that it's actually working. So here we see that the trucks are finally showing up to the terminals, which is kind of strange to me. I don't know if that's how it is in real life, but it's kind of weird. So they're gonna do this little U-turn here and skip this one. They don't care about the planes that might take off here. They're gonna go all the way down the road. So it looks like this road they can't turn left onto, which is kind of interesting. Trying to figure out exactly how they created these assets. And if I was that truck driver, I would have came out of this hub and just turned left and gone here. But they didn't do that, so they are going in there, they're disappearing. I'm assuming that's the normal functionality. Hopefully a plane spawns soon and takes off so we know that we're doing things correctly. This is the trial and error that I do when I place a new game or a new DLC or a new mod in Cities Skylines. I kind of just play around with it. Wanted to show it in a video and kind of give you an idea of what I think. Is this one of them coming in? No, that's a regular passenger plane, so hopefully we see one soon, and then we know we're doing everything correctly. These are full though. These trucks are definitely 100% full. I don't know what that means for the planes yet, and how many of those trucks equals 100%. Maybe we'll figure all that out. I don't know if I'll even dive that deep into it, but they keep constantly doing that U-turn. They're favoring this one to the left, even though they can't turn left. So I think my final design will definitely adjust the way traffic gets into this terminal. There we go. We have a cargo plane. It's 10% full. It's bringing in some goods into the city. It's going to go to that same spot where we're preparing a bunch of cargo to go onto the new plane. Let's see how much it loads. We had like 5 or 6, maybe 10 truckloads come in. Come on, you can do it. 45%. I guess we'll take that. And there it goes. So now I'm going to play around with the design and I'll show you what we came up with for our end product next. It may not feel natural, but I did put the museum right next to the cargo terminals. I didn't have anywhere else to put it, but I wanted to use it. Again, this is my first time building a airport, so I think it turned out okay. We also added a lot more roads in there, or a lot more paths for people to walk around to kind of make it our own. There's our train terminal, and then you can see we have a little bit of a backup. I don't understand why Vanilla Cities Skylines is always this way. It seems like there's way too many planes for the 3 terminals that we created. But that's the end product. That's the airport. That's what it's gonna look like long term in this city. I have a lot of ideas for, the next time that we do it, next time we tackle it. But Newman Shore is turning out pretty cool. They got a lot of ideas coming up next. One of those areas over there that we kind of just saw definitely is gonna be in the next episode, but this is it. We did 3 parts to the airport DLC, leveled up to level 2, we leveled up to level 3, and then we skipped a few episodes because we need to unlock a tile to get to this area. One of the things I did here is I wanted to build some industrial areas and blend them in, like the industry there was what was actually feeding the planes. I think it turns out pretty cool. I think it has a nice look. I like the design of it. Let me know what you think. But that's gonna do it for this episode. We're gonna wrap it up. The next episode, we are definitely gonna work on that area that we've shown a little bit in the clips where there's a huge gap between 2 of the residential areas. You might be able to guess what's going in there. I'm excited about building it. I'm gonna go for just a quick, deep dive into a small area of the city, see how that turns out for an episode. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Sockswayup. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you on the next episode of Newman Shore.